This episode is brought to you by Carbon Health, and you guys know Carbon Health. I talk about them all the time. So excited that they're one of our sponsors. Now, they're known for their over 120 locations that handle urgent care and COVID, RSV, flu testing, vaccinations, all that. But what we should also know is how they expanded into primary care services that also include connected health. Connected health is the idea it's not just about our bodies, but it's also about our mind. Carbon Health providers come connected with mental health specialists as well. They expanded their primary care services in 2023. They're now in Massachusetts. It's great. We love them. We're excited to be working with them, continue to work with them. So Carbon Health, excellent urgent care and testing center, but don't sleep on their primary care services. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Big Thing Capes and Cowls. Thanks for joining us here today. A lot of stories going on. Obviously, we know that Blue Beetle trailer came out, and Across the Spiderverse trailer came out, and the Secret Invasion, but the crew hasn't had a chance to talk about it. It's the first time we've kind of been back. Yeah, we're still virtual right now. We're going back to the studio hopefully next week. Well, Coy and I will be, and we'll try to patch Winston at least via phone. The poor guy broke his leg. But that's your fault. Why? I don't know, because I want to blame somebody. That's what we do on the internet, right? Anyway, it's not true. Well, it's true, but I'm not blaming you. Anyway. What else do we have to do? Well, Ike Perlmutter's a moron, and he's what's he saying now? He's like, Disney fired me. Yeah, we know, because you're terrible, and we'll talk about that. Coy John Drew interviewed everybody, so we'll talk to him about that as well. He didn't even interview anybody that he's supposed to. He just walked up to random people on the street and hung out with them in the hotel, and then he deep faked everybody and said he was talking to James McAvoy. Yeah, we had some fun stuff to talk about with the guys. So make sure you check that out. And the other thing to check out, listen, man, if you are in the Los Angeles area, you talk about Winston, and we're going to hopefully wheel Winston onto the stage, but we'll get him there. Coy, Roxy, Kate, Mike, Steph, Brett, all of us, we're going to be there. People have been asking, you're going to do live shows? Well, we're doing it, and we need this one to sell out. So get tickets. If you're anywhere near the LA area, get it. April 28th, man. And the same thing, East Coast people, when are you coming to New York? When are you coming to New York? Well, we're coming to New York. We're going to be there on June 23rd in Manhattan. And so far, where's my New York people? New York's the biggest audience out of all, the entire demographic that we have. New York's our biggest. What's going on, guys? Get those tickets, June 23rd in Manhattan. And then finally, the next night, June 24th, going to be with the Double Toasted guy, myself and Ellis together in Stamford, Connecticut. And you get the tickets at thekristianharloff.com. That's it. You just go there, you get the tickets. And I say this lovingly. If these shows don't sell out, we're just doing after party shows. That's it. This will be the end of the road show. So we've got 3. And so far, looks like we're just doing these 3. And if that's the case, that's the case. But I wanted to give everybody an opportunity. If you have a chance to do it, get on out there. Come support the show. All right. It's myself, and it's Winston. It's Coy. It's Capes and Cowls. Let's do it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Capes and Cowls. Myself, Winston A. Marshall, Coy Jandro. That's the crew. Thanks for joining us. Oh, wow. I don't like that new thing. We got a new Roadcaster. And it's a good Roadcaster, but I'm still getting used to all the buttons.
CAD Owen?
No, we need it for the live shows. Sorry, bud. Plus, I want to
ask.
Yeah, it's fair.
Respect.
Plus, I want to hook it back up because it's like there's a lot of things in there that I'm missing from some of this stuff. I still don't know how to use it. Brett's like, you'll figure it out. I'm like, I don't want to figure it out. There's too many things to figure out.
He just figured out the old one.
Mm-hmm.
That's so sad.
For real.
You like, you're not old, not even like by a stretch of the imagination, but it's so interesting how like we're I believe you got me, but what, 5 years? So we're like one little grade, like middle school, high school, not even full generation, but like a middle school, high school thing. Sure. And your ass gets so confused by technology.
But it does. But you know the thing is, I don't, because I actually that's the one thing. Like when you asked me to build a birdhouse, no, not going to happen.
No.
But what I will tell you is that when it comes to like, it's not the amount of, or I can't figure out the electronics and can't figure out that's the opposite. I actually. It like all the OBS stuff and all that. Like when we started SEN, I didn't want anything to do with it. But once I taught myself, I had to out of necessity. I had to teach myself, and I know it pretty well. You know, there's little things that kind of pop up here and there. But like, yeah, figuring it out isn't the problem. It's the focusing in and saying, I need to do this.
I get it. It's especially hard right now because sitting for too long is painful. But that's me with there's a bunch of stuff I need to edit and there's a bunch of stuff I need to write. So like being at my desk, I need to just do it because there's nothing else to do right now.
Right. Totally. Totally understand. Coy, you had a busy week, man. There's a lot of fun stuff happening in with MegaCon. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was MegaCon out in Orlando. I didn't even post every panel. I did 12 panels. I did 7 hours of signing, and I did 3 trips to Disney World in 6 days.
Great.
It was insane.
I have full use of both my legs.
Yeah, it's true. It's but yeah, it seemed like there were some really fun panels, and you got some good. I mean, the one. Can I guess which one I think was your favorite?
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah.
I think the Daredevil one was your favorite.
So the Daredevil one was the biggest curveball because last minute they wanted me to play games with the cast.
Oh.
And so they threw in like this or that, like, you know, I had to say boxers or briefs to Kingpin and Daredevil, and that was not an easy sentence for my brain because I very serious, very psychologically driven questions. So navigating from my type of questions into that and then back, that was difficult. Yeah. But the actual connection with them, I had a moment where Vincent D'Onofrio saw me taking a selfie with everyone. I see the light bulb go off and then he takes his phone out and then he copies me and takes a photo. And to have a moment that I did inspire Vincent D'Onofrio, even if it's something as trivial as a selfie, is like, I've impacted this man who's impacted me. And I got a scoop out of him, which I didn't, like, you know me, I don't usually seek that, but when I get it, I'm gonna be excited. I asked him, I said, years ago, you played Edgar in Men in Black. In 2002, I think it was, Malibu Comics, who made Men in Black, was acquired by Marvel Comics, making Edgar a Marvel comic character. Would you be willing to reprise your role as Edgar as well as Kingpin in Secret Wars? And he paused, and he definitely like assessed it, and he like chuckled, and he's like, I want to say something, but I shouldn't say it. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get attacked by the Kingpin. Like, I thought I insulted him. And then he paused, and then he chuckled and said he'd come back as Edgar, but then said he wants to be Swamp Thing in the DCU for James Mangold.
Yeah.
So, like, he took my thing, appreciated the question, and then gave me the alley-oop of, like, this is what I really want to do next. And I was like, and the whole crowd, like, lost it. It was crazy. Great. Yeah, but these guys came out like throwing pillows at the audience. We had like a pillow fight. Fun. They were like so playful and joyous. And it was really cool to see D'Onofrio. Like, he's so engaged when he cares, but he definitely, like, I've seen interviews where he doesn't. And then Charlie Cox is like such an actor's actor. It's cool to get those things out of him. I asked about Casanova, the Heath Ledger movie I love, and he clearly hadn't spoken of that in 15 years. So that was really like endearing. But I think my favorite was either between McAvoy, because we're both such readers. Like, we talked literature, we talked like why we love the fandom. We told me what he wanted for X-Men 5. He just like mentioned that he really wanted the brotherhood between him and Magneto strengthened, as well as a romance with Moira.
Did you ask about Secret Wars?
I talked to him about Secret Wars in the context of would that be something he was interested in, and he gave me the X-Men 5 answer. So like he was coy. But also you heard me. But also, like, the amount he loves the fandom was really interesting because he kept talking about the genre stuff keeps calling him back in. Like, he left X-Men and now he's doing Sandman. He left that and then now he's doing Prince Azrael. Like, he clearly is in the space. So to me, that was like an indicator of like, I'm not saying no. I'm saying like, show me what it is. Right. And then I think the most interesting interview was Garrett Hedlund, who we like sat down and like talked like fireside chat as men style. And it felt like there were no cameras. It felt like there were no, the audience was like sharing personal stories of their experience. And he talked about losing his father. And like when you hit those, like, you know, the Harloff one-on-ones, it was like that, but in front of, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people. And I think it made like a friend connection in a way that I don't know that I've ever done. Like, he's a really beautiful soul. Like, I really
I'll tell you what about
like
that
man is special.
You know what? I've always liked him. Sometimes I think he's really great, and sometimes I think he's okay. I thought he was great in Tulsa King.
Yes,
he was great in Tulsa King.
He's so like committed, and he's so like he's so soul bearing that I didn't realize that until I talked to him in person, that all these roles, they really impact him. And him and Charlie Hunnam apparently have been friends for 19 years. And that's how he got on this. This was his first independent con. And now he wants to do these outside the studio system. And it was a really special 4 days of interviews.
So you got to be honest with me on this one. Was Zach Levi salty? Seems salty.
So Levi got there and basically was like, "Hey, Coy," he said, "Coy, love you, good to see you, don't need you." And so basically, like, he came and gave me a hug and was like very endearing about it. He's like, "I want to run this panel. Like, I just want to do my thing." And I was like, "Dude, I respect that. You've been through a lot of crap.
Come
like,
on, I want to run this panel."
Well, because he always does the one-man show thing when they let him. Like, just kind of.
But that's not what that was.
But the fans then got to do all the questions that I wouldn't. You gave me crap because I didn't want to ask the stuff.
Yeah.
That, like,
well,
so they got to.
Yeah, but I was giving you, but you were hired to be the moderator and you were hired to be the host. If he didn't want to host, then he shouldn't have agreed to do it. He should have done his own thing. That's lame. That's lame. I'm sorry. I know you don't have to say it, but it's lame.
I hear you. And I think that the way he handled it once he was on stage was something that like I couldn't have done because he did like handle the stuff head on.
That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
That is irrelevant. Like what he should like, say, "Hey, Coy, I love you, don't need you." Then do another show, dude. Do Nerd HQ somewhere else. That's so lame. I'm sorry. That is extremely lame.
I'm on Kristian's side here because I think the way that you do it, because I think the part where he's not clicking, and I understand that like you've got your ish that you're running right now, but like you're also on your climb. I think that's an outside of his mind where he's already hit whatever said level. Let you cook, like work together to come up if that's what he 100%. Wants to do. Work with you so that you have an opportunity to shine.
I'm going to run the audience because I used to do this at Comic-Con all the time. Then don't sign up for it. Then do your own thing.
I only say it from the standpoint because you're my brother and I'm looking out for you. I think that's an opportunity where it's like if he wants to do something specific, I think he could have brought you in the loop to do that instead of just kind of icing you out. I don't
honestly, and like this is me being an optimist, and I will totally own the naivete of it. But I do feel like that was something that he thought was established as what he was doing, and his team. Those miscommunication because his team was also like, "Hey, you're a moderator, you're here," and then like he was the one that was like, "It's great to see you," as opposed to like they were just confused. So I think that there was a miscommunication of like we didn't expect a moderator at all. So I'm saying like I don't personally blame Levi because he seemed surprised to see me, not like oh now I've got to navigate this, and he did it lovingly. So I'm just giving him that credit because like obviously I was bummed because I did all that prep.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, it was definitely like all right, I'll be over here.
I guess it's just from this because you've been on a hot streak right now, man. Look, the number of times where I was like, cool, I just booked a fucking movie, and then forgot. And then I get that phone call, be like, ooh, so yeah, John's gonna put his brother in that role, so we're actually gonna have to cut. Like, I don't play that because it's one of those things that there's just a remembrance of like when you get to XYZ level, you should be trying to reach back. That's all.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone else.
I think you're being, and I appreciate you being nice about it and diplomatic about it, but let us be the ones going. I think that was pretty lame.
I'm gonna do it for you. I'm gonna do it for you. I can't believe you did my cuz like that, bruh.
Yeah.
On the exact other side, I gotta give the flowers to both Carl Weathers and Anthony Michael Hall, who literally went out of their way to tell everyone they could that was some of the best interviewing they'd ever had. Like they literally were like, I haven't had a panel like that in 40 years. Carl Weathers and I like. He paused to answer a question and literally spelled out how intricate my questioning was to the audience. And he was like, you guys don't realize what this question was, and then broke it down. So I got Carl Weathers being like this great, like grandfatherly figure of like, let me show you the wisdom of this man. And like, when you hear Apollo Creed praise you, your heart grows like 72 sizes. So like I was floating on a high. I can't even describe the rest of the weekend.
It's good to hear that 99% of the people understood why they were there and how to actually, treat a host. So that's nice. That's nice that 99% of the people did that. So let's it's just lame, dude. It's lame. Let's get into speaking of which, Shazam Fury of the Gods is now on digital within 3 weeks. So that's
is that a record as far as like not a day and date, like shortest turnaround?
It's pretty quick. It's
on digital.
It comes out on digital tomorrow. I
thought there was like an extra week or two. It went a week early.
Fury of the Gods arrives on digital tomorrow. Blu-ray release date and special features are revealed. And again, I want to be very clear. I enjoyed watching this movie. I thought it was a fun movie. And I thought that it was, I understand why it didn't do well, but I also think that it probably should have done better than it did. I thought it was pretty good. And I happen to agree with Zach Levi that I think that the second one even plays better than a lot of the first one. So anyway, it's been revealed that Shazam Fury of the Gods is set to hit digital platforms tomorrow, and that the news comes with a Blu-ray release date and details on the sequel special features. Comicbook.com confirmed that Fury of the Gods will arrive on digital starting tomorrow. Today, actually. The sequel will then hit 4K, Blu-ray, and DVD on May 23rd. So it's a pretty fast turnaround. Along with director's commentary from David F. Sandberg, and the Shazam sequel comes bundled with a number of featurettes, which will be Shazam Let's Make a Sequel, The Rock of Eternity Decked Out, the Shazamly Reunion, the Zack Effect, the Sisterhood of the Daughters of Atlas, Play-by-Play, and the Mythology of Shazam. And they said there's some deleted scenes, alternate scenes, all that. But I actually think, I got to be honest, I think that this is a good move that they are that they're doing this so fast, because try to make money any way you can on something that's not doing well.
I don't think there's going to be a sudden surge of people that decide to see it now in theaters. So I actually agree. You know my thoughts in the exhibition industry, but I don't think with Super Mario and everything that came out in the last 2 weeks, and then going into the next week after this, like April's a little quieter than March, but it's not quiet enough that it makes sense to put this out. I also think that there are a lot of people that were like, oh, it's not connected, I'll just wait for VOD. This actually might do well because of the speed of the people that were like on the fence. I also think that there's going to be a lot of curious people that are like, it made how much? Like, it made 30 million? Let me see what this movie is. So I think maybe capitalizing on that is the move. It's just, man, I've never heard of this. That's 3 weeks. That's crazy.
It's fast. Yeah. And it's like, and you know, the other thing is, like, if I asked my 11-year-old and I said, hey, we can choose one movie that's out in the theater right now, either Shazam, Fury of the Gods, or Dungeons and Dragons. She doesn't even blink, and she says Dungeons and Dragons. She wants to see. I know how bad she wants to see that. And to be fair, she hasn't seen the first Shazam, so she's a Dungeons and Dragons nerd. So she'd want to see that. But and everybody says that movie is just significantly really, really good.
It's so good. And that was the thing. Like, you know, talking to Zach briefly, you know, before and after the panel, I think that his love of the movie hasn't waned, and I really hope that's the case with Sandberg. I hope that's the case with the cast. Yeah. So I'd also love to see that reaction come out to the VOD audience. Like, while the wound is fresh, hopefully some, you know, bandages. I want them to get some love.
The movie deserved to do much better than it did. To be completely fair, it definitely did. Like, Winston and I have the same problems with the film itself, but it should have. I mean, it should have done better than it was. I just think people honestly, the main thing is people just didn't care. That's what it was. It wasn't the fact that it was a bad movie. It was the fact that people didn't care.
I think also from the standpoint of, I still think of the everyman. You've really opened my eyes to that, and the way we were talking about stuff before. I still think about a number of people that, yes, this was a sequel, that were sitting out here in these streets being like, who? Like, right. What is this Shazam? Like, what are we talking about? And so,
the first one did good. It didn't do gangbusters.
Right. It didn't end up in like a lexicon. Because I think about, I understand the MCU and everything like that, but like I think about something more obscure like a Guardians, for example, that made a stamp. And I'm not saying that Shazam didn't, but I'm saying knowing that it was like watching the first one, you go, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that.
You make a good point, though, too, Winston, with the fact that here's the thing with Guardians. The major difference is when Guardians came out in 2014, I think it was 15, 14. I think for 14. It was coming off the heels of various amounts of successful other,
like Winter Soldier,
Winter Soldier, Iron Man, all the different movies that came out. It was one after the next that connected into this universe. DC was kind of scattered as far as which ones are connected, which ones are not. This one did well. This one, Wonder Woman, is fantastic, but that one not so much. That was this, and there was no, and it still managed to do decent, the first one, right? Because it was part of like the Wonder Woman part of it. Well, that one was pretty good. That was a fun movie. And then that was 2019, or whatever it was. And then pandemic hits and all this other stuff. And then there's Snyder leaves and there's all this everything's disconnected now. And it's like, well, what is this? Oh, it's a sequel to that movie that came out in 2019, and they have all this other stuff. And I also think because of the Marvel situation in for Phase 4, where it's been subpar, I think that does weigh on the casual audience going, yeah, I just saw a bunch of these comic book movies and they weren't really good. Whether they're connected to DC and Marvel or not, the casual viewer goes,
I don't think the average viewer separates Marvel and DC as far as superhero movies. No. And so I think when I talk about competition making them both better, the same is true in the opposite. When they're both hurting, it hurts the whole genre.
Yeah. Guys, you know this already. It's tax season here in the United States. And you know what that means? It means that MANSCAPED is here to make sure that your paperwork is done and your boys downstairs are having fun. Make sure that you spend your tax return money on the important thing like family, friends, and ball deodorant. That's right. Join the 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Include me in there by going over to manscaped.com and get 20% off. Use that code, though, big thing. What better way to invest your tax return than do it for yourself? Manscaped has the full package from head to toe to make sure that you get your money's worth this April. There's that Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. It's the star of the show. I love it. I use it all of the time. Offering a precise shave on all your wildest hedges. It's equipped with that LED light. You can navigate in and out of those difficult areas with ease. And it's waterproof, which is amazing. After cleaning your ball bag, make sure that you use the Weed Whacker. For this thing I use all the damn time. The ear and the nose, it's incredible. And for everybody out there with a little scruff, Manscaped has that beard product. We talked about that for a while. It's the whole package. The Beard Hedger Pro Kit, all of this stuff. It's really amazing. We love Manscaped. We've been talking about Manscaped forever. They're such a great sponsor. We love them, and you will love them too. If you haven't already done it, you should do it. 20% off and free shipping. Got to use that code BIGTHING. Go to manscaped.com. 20% off and free shipping. Use that code BIGTHING at manscaped.com. Don't just get your money back this year. Get your swagger back too, and do it with Manscaped. All right. Let's talk about some of these trailers, man. We got a few of them. All right. I'm going to, this is no brainer to what out of the 3 trailers, what Coy's favorite was. So let me ask you, Winston, what I'm going to try to guess between Secret Invasion, Across the Spiderverse, and Blue Beetle. Your favorite trailer. It's between Secret Invasion and Across the Spider-Verse. I'm gonna say Secret Invasion.
Coy?
I'm gonna say Spider-Verse for you, and I think my second would actually be Blue Beetle. I think that if you didn't love Miles as much, it might be Blue Beetle, but I think you got some Miles love that's putting Spider-Verse number 1.
Well, if you're gonna give a reason, I'll give a reason.
Let's see.
I think the reason why it's because we've been talking about how getting that tone back in Marvel, and I think Secret Invasion has that tone, and it does put the focus in on Nick Fury and them. This is like kind of what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Could have been if it was not on ABC. So that's my reasoning.
Well, I like that.
All right, drum roll, please.
Brrr.
You're both wrong. It was Blue Beetle.
It was Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle was pretty good.
Blue Beetle, Secret Invasion, Spider-Verse, and it's not that I'm not excited about Spider-Verse. I think the taste that got left in my mouth after Across the Spider-Verse was
they showed everything.
I really wish I hadn't seen the trailer, because I think about when I saw the first one, and all I saw leading up to it was literally just him popping off in the glass, kind of shattering out, and then being like, what is this going to be? And then there was a smaller teaser that came out with a couple little lines here and there, and you maybe saw Spider-Ham, but that was it. You did not get the movie because they essentially gave the farm away. It went from like, okay, here we go, to like, ugh. And I got really upset because I was like, I wanted to come into this with the same kind of mindset and just enjoy the film. Yeah. I don't think I got anything like that out of Blue Beetle or out of Secret Invasion. And that could be easier with origin stories, because you hit the same origin story beats in a trailer where it's like, what? Magical powers, scientific powers, crazy. What? My family's like, what's going on? What? I'm a teenager. And so, like, if as long as it slaps, like, you're fine. You're not giving anything away. And as far as Secret Invasion, with it being a spy thriller, all we know is that you've got Skrulls over here invading Earth, but you have no idea what's going on. So you gave me enough to be interested and to be excited about
it. But the Skrulls aren't invading, though. They're protecting it, aren't they?
That's the thing. So there are some Skrulls that work with Nick.
Right.
But that's why you keep seeing like Nick will do something and everybody transforms into the same person. That's the Skrulls' ability to shapeshift. Yeah. They're the ones invading Earth.
So Coy, like my thing was I'm hyped for Across the Spider-Verse, and I really want to see. I know for sure. I think we all are, but I couldn't agree with Winston more. I think that it was unnecessary to show what they did, because out of the 3 trailers, I think it was the worst trailer. Not in a representation of what the movie was. I think as far as the actual movie and showing things that they showed, it all looks incredible. The animation looks incredible. The emotion behind it, the story looks great. My problem with the reason I say it's the worst is because they showed me the whole movie, I think. And we did another one of these. They showed me the whole movie, I think, and they showed the ending of Ant-Man and Quantumania in the trailer. And the thing on the train with at the end, I'm like, why are they showing that? That's clearly the end of the movie, but I hope I'm wrong.
Real quick before Coy steps in, you know what I think that someone would learn a lot, or they would really do gangbusters if the way they decided to do a trailer going forward, make the trailer just like maybe the opening action sequence, kind of what happened with Multiverse of Madness at first before they kind of gave the farm away. And then maybe give me just a baby teaser of what's coming in the rest of the film. But then you haven't shown me anything. You've shown me something I was going to see in the first 5 to 10 minutes anyway, so you didn't spoil anything. And then you got me geeked out about like, why is Miguel O'Hara so mad?
I think Civil War did that really well, because Civil War had that great open action set piece with like crossbones and stuff. And if I remember correctly, that like lived in the first act. That trailer was very much so. I agree. That's always my preference. But I will say, comparing Secret Invasion, Blue Beetle, and Spider-Verse is tricky because this is the last trailer versus the first. We haven't seen any footage of Secret Invasion, and it's been like cooking forever. And then we haven't seen any footage of Blue Beetle, and it's been cooking forever. Versus Spider-Verse is out in a month and a half. Right. So I think that this is the story trailer. So it usually goes teaser, first trailer, story trailer. This story trailer is all the people that were, for whatever reason, on the fence, all the people that want to see all these story elements. This is that last push of like, hey, tickets are about to be on sale. We need every, TikToker to make a breakdown of what they think is going to happen, because that's marketing now. And I personally hate it. I'm advocating for the difference between the two. Like, I wish the footage from movies was used misleadingly like they did with Avengers, where the Hulk wasn't even in Infinity War. Like, this whole lawsuit about like it being not the movie, I think is dangerous to movies, because the more you can mislead the audience while giving tone, the better, not the worse. Agreed. So I would have less and less and less in the trailer. But like, we're also in a very specific bubble of, we know we're going to see it. We know more details than most people. We have more context than most people. A lot of people want to be told what the story is as they go into the movie.
Sure. Telling what the story is one thing, though. Showing major plot points inside of that story is something altogether. And the difference between, like, I don't disagree when you say, like, well, we can't just assume that everybody wants to see it. This is a different thing. This movie won the Oscar. This movie made the first one made tons of money, did very well overall with audiences. It's Spider-Man, which is another thing, and it is it's a sequel of a very successful film. They didn't need to show a lot. Like, you can show the story, but you don't have to show plot points. And say what you will about this season of Mandalorian, right? What I think that they did really well, what they've always done very well with the trailers, is they only show the first, like, inside of the major trailers, even showing the whole story, even though I don't even necessarily know if they've really focused so much on the story this season. However, they only show the first 2 episodes into those trailers, maybe a couple of shots here and there, but they don't give away a lot of stuff. And I think that that's a really smart idea and a good way to do it. And for Secret Invasion, you might have done that very same thing, because to be fair to the other movies, Secret Invasion has like 8 to 10 hours of stuff to show you, where these other movies only have 2 hours worth of stuff to show you.
I understand that, but I think what you just said about Mando showing only the first 2 episodes of the season, and that's where you could learn a lot from it. That's still technically Act 1. Don't show me anything other than Act 1.
That's right.
And I think that the Miguel O'Hara stuff would have been better as a reveal. Like, I do think we still have some mystery around him in Spider-Man 2099. I think we do still have some mystery around why he wasn't allowed in the Spider Society in the first place. But I don't like that I can start to piece together as much as I have, because that's my most anticipated movie of the year, hard stop. I would rather know nothing, because I'm going to see it no matter what. But I'm wondering who they think they have to appeal to, because there is a different market than us.
The only thing that I think is crazy is that, to be honest with you, the only people I know that are die hard, I need to see a trailer before I do anything, tend to be older folks that I know, like my mom. My mom is like, what's that? And if she doesn't see a trailer for it, she doesn't care. But I have a homies my age and younger that are like, when we go to the movies, they will intentionally wait. They will have me text them and be like, are the trailers over? I will come in now. And that's for a homie that also broke his foot last year. And so he was hobbling in the middle of like the thing, trying to hurry up and get to his seat, because trailers are getting out of hand. They genuinely are.
I might skip the new Barbie
they've been out of hand.
They've been out of the last 10 years.
Easily. I mean, even more so. I mean, and remember, The thing that I always remember that drove me crazy was the first Avengers movie. In the trailer, they show the Hulk catch Tony Stark, and it's
I
like,
forgot about that.
yeah, they show it, and I remember going, "What?" And then I'm like, I remember watching the movie, going, "Well, clearly Hulk's going to catch him now because it's in the trailer," and then he does, and you're like, "Okay." And it's like, I don't like why the whole point of a trailer in general for moments when people are putting it together, it goes, okay, this is really going to help sell the movie. Why that particular shot or this shot in Spider-Verse with the trailer with the train, and then in Quantumania with the whole thing, I don't have to beat you. We just both have to
I
lose.
was just gonna say that. I spent the whole movie being like, when is that gonna happen?
Right, but if you take that out, does the movie do worse or better? I mean, does it do worse if you take that out? No. If you take out, the train shot, does it hurt the story? Does it hurt the trailer? No. Why show that stuff? And I'm hope that at the end of it, when it comes out, the audience is yelling at me, going, "Hey, dummy, that was in the beginning of the movie. That wasn't even at the end. So how do you feel now?" And I'm like, dumb.
I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. But the other thing, Kristian, that's like ringing in my head, and why I think I love Blue Beetle's trailer the most, it gave me Spider-Man 2002 vibes, other than the fact that obviously we're dealing with a teenager, dealing with their powers and all that kind of stuff. But I distinctly remember another little dig where Aunt May is like, "You really should take care of yourself. You're not Superman, you know." And then all of a sudden he's like, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny. That's a cute little." And so the same thing here, which you had obviously some people losing their mind over it, but I thought it was funny. But George Lopez being like, "Oh, what about Batman? Man, Batman's a fashion." Like, give me just a little moment. That's hilarious.
I mean, I guess I do, but I was going to say, at first I was like, I don't understand why the internet was so nuts on that. I'm like, because it's the internet, and it's like, don't you have, like, I saw like people making videos about it and get upset about it. I'm like, don't you know people inside of your house that have a particular opinion about somebody out there who's someone who is revered and someone who people love, and they can't stand him, and they say the stupidest thing about him. They're not saying that Jaime felt that way. They're not saying that they felt that way. They're saying that this character, who is a grouchy old dad who's got his political views probably all askew, is saying this thing, and you're like, that's my grouchy dad. He thinks Batman's a
because DC making 12 Batman comics a week hates Batman. That studio that's making all their money on Batman hates Batman. Like, what a dumb
sense. It made no sense.
Also, just from the standpoint of like, did you guys? I know you guys don't really watch SNL much anymore, do you?
I watched. We watched. My daughter's a big Jenna Ortega fan, so we watched the one from the other day.
Quinta's last weekend was great too, but there was one with Chance the Rapper a few years ago, and it was a story of Bruce Wayne at Thanksgiving giving away turkeys or whatever, and like all the black people were coming to get the turkeys, and they're like, "Hey man, aren't you like homies with Batman?" "Oh, well, everybody's homies with Batman." "Man, tell him to stop doing all this." Like, he came over, beat the hell out of my uncle, hang him upside down from his underwear, and just left him there to get arrested. Man, all he did was jaywalk. He didn't have to do all that.
Right.
So
right.
it was just funny, because the truth is, if you do think about Batman, he does a lot of good, but at the same time,
yeah, it's just stuff. But that's what I was saying. It's just like, again, like I can't even tell you how many times I've been on the couch and my mother-in-law said something silly about politics, and so on. I'm just like, oh, Pat. And it's just like, you don't take it serious. You go, it's just because she said it. It doesn't mean that my entire household felt it, and it doesn't mean that anybody who's watching it felt that way. It's like, I was like, I'm like, people are making like full videos about it. I'm like, are you serious?
If you had had like Diana show up and she's like, "I don't F with Bruce no more. He's a fascist."
If it was a consistent theme,
that's a problem.
If it was a consistent theme throughout the entire thing, if Jaime's like, "You know what, my uncle was right. He is, and we've got to make a stance against Batman." Like, what are they doing? Why would they do that about that? Then it's a plot point. It's one grouchy old dad who's got this worldview of that's clearly not right, and you don't have to agree with him. You just have to go, well, there he is, shooting off his politics again. There's grouchy old dad. So silly.
To the point where they didn't even see the movie. I wouldn't even be surprised if, like, in like a
he turns around.
In like a post-credit scene, exactly. Either he accidentally meets Batman because Blue Beetle does roll with Batman from time to time, or you have a situation where he's about to get like robbed, and you just see Batman's like batarang hit somebody and save him, and he goes, "Still a fascist." Like, it's just stupid old man humor.
It's just like he's for some reason he feels that way about it. And you're like, that's not even close to right
And
at
it
all.
fit the tone of the trailer. It's not like it was out of place. The comedy
No,
of the
and
trailer worked for me.
the trailer itself I thought worked. I threw in a reference that definitely probably dated me, but people said it was pretty accurate, and that was it had Guyver tones.
I said Guyver too. That's so funny. Yeah, I was like, this reminds me of The Guyver, which is like this like early 90s movie Mark Hamill was in. It's a practical suit. Yeah, dude, I said the same thing.
Totally reminded me of that when I saw it, but it had that, and when I had on Sholo for our interview, and he was able to talk about whatever he was talking about, the actually Blue Beetle itself, not necessarily the movie, but like about really diving deep into it. And I asked him, I said, is it like Venom? He said it is kind of like Venom, and it's got like he said Venom meets kind of Green Lantern-ish, and he said more so than Spider-Man, and I saw that in the trailer, and I saw those things, and I'm like I said, I like the way that they introed it, and I'll tell you, for a movie that I don't know how big the budget is, it looked really, really good as far as the CGI and stuff.
And the suit being practical just fills me with so much pride, because you can do a practical suit, and if you trust your artists, like that's what it can look like, and it looks amazing.
I'm also just curious seeing Sholo, and it was smart of them to take a young kid who is already an action star in that regard. I'm sure he's got stuntmen that are doing some of the fight scenes for him, but I guarantee you that there's stuff that he's mixing up himself.
He's young. He's like 21 years old.
Yeah. I talked to him at MegaCon too, and it was funny because it was the trailer. Yeah. He was there with the whole. It was me, him, and Zapka talking.
Did you tell him you're on this show?
Yeah, we brought you up. Actually, we brought you up. You came up 3 times with them. I thanked Katie Sackhoff for her interview on the big thing. And then also we were talking about the episode of The Mandalorian that had dropped, like the 3rd episode. So I was talking to Emily Swallow about your interview with her. Nice. So that all you came up a bunch. It was funny. Awesome. But yeah, Sholo and then Zapka talking about like martial arts, and talking about like, Zapka grew up doing martial arts, and it was actually like an outlet for him, and Sholo getting to be a superhero now and like utilize that stuff. But it was really cool to see like Sensei Zapka. Like I saw the man being proud of his like protege in that way, and it was very paternal and warm, and that whole cast just like loves each other. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, they do. They really do. And I think this trailer looks really good. The question that people have is that, similar to what we were just talking about with Shazam, but even more so, this movie has the potential problem of nobody really knows who this character is. It's a pretty obscure character, and it's not connected to anything yet anyway. I do think, though, that what's put inside of this trailer, if it does well, that James Gunn should either reconsider or continue on and put this as part of his DCU if it does well, because I think that it could be a really good story to tell overall. But I don't know. I think that it comes out in August. It's got some hurdles, Winston. It definitely has some hurdles.
Yeah, I mean, it does, but I have a feeling that if it's giving what it's giving, and it does that when it actually drops, I think we'll be fine. I have a strong feeling you don't put this kind of energy into it, and if you're getting those types of performances, there's no reason why this can't work out.
I think it also has a very specific gift attached to it. We talked a lot about how we consider Guardians a safe port in the storm, and the real next Phase 5 film is the Marvels, whereas like Guardians is going to make everybody go like, superhero movies aren't dead. This is very smartly right after The Flash. So I feel like if The Flash is the second coming that everyone's describing it as, everybody's going to be like, DC's back, and they might go see Blue Beetle because of that. And that might give us some security.
It's going to be interesting to find out. So I'm very curious with everybody what they felt about that Blue Beetle trailer. And then the first trailer that actually dropped, and it was right after I was kind of coming out of this freaking haze of being sick, is that the Secret Invasion trailer dropped. It's something that I've been looking forward to since we saw a little bit. The largest preview I think that we saw, Coy, was at D23 when they showed a lot of it for sure. I really like what they're going with here. I think that it's funny, even though I support the line where he said, well, what about the Avengers? I'm going to do this on my own. We don't have the budget for the Avengers, and that's fine.
We have a newspaper.
Plus, we don't even know who the hell the Avengers are right now. So that's the other thing. So I like that they're focusing in. And as I said, when I was trying to guess Winston's favorite trailer, I think that I was kind of reflecting my own thoughts on it, which is This to me is the type of show that Kevin Feige wanted to do or would have done with Agents of Shield if it wasn't under the constraints of the ABC model, and you could actually make a Marvel TV show inside of Shield if those the kind of government things. This looks like kind of a darker tone. I only had one issue with it, and it's this is a me thing, and that's Squid Arms Magoo at the end. It's like they have to like I know it's part of the comics, I get it, but it's like one of those things where there's that story. Here's the they're going to dive deep into character this time. They're going to go into this espionage thing. They're going to do all that. Oh yeah, but remember, it's still Marvel, and it's like,
well, yeah, I can understand why that would be annoying. I think it might work out within the context of it. Again, that's where trailers can be a huge pain in the ass. What I got from that final trailer, though, I genuinely think we're going to end up seeing Quake. We're going to see oh my goodness, why can I not remember? Chloe, sorry.
Oh yeah, from Agents of Shield, right?
Mm-hmm. I think they're setting it up.
Bennett, Chloe Bennett.
Chloe Bennett, thank you, because I kept wanting to call her Daisy, and I was like, that's her character.
Chloe's close friend.
She's here.
But I genuinely think we're going to end up seeing her because, and that might be the first lesson we've seen in a while of like not giving away the farm.
Right.
And I certainly hope we don't end up in this. Not that she's like as big as Charlie Cox's Daredevil, but I hope we don't end up in a situation that if like Secret Invasion maybe starts a little slow or anything like that, knock on wood, that they don't go, oh, and by the way, they're coming the way they did with Daredevil. Just be like, oh, he's coming. Just watch the show. He's coming. I swear. Like,
I hope they trust us more with this one because I really like the ads being pondersome. I really like that this feels like an adult show. It feels like a Harrison Ford movie from the 80s, and I want them to trust the audience to make that show. I thought the Skrulls looked better than it did in Captain Marvel by a lot.
Yeah,
I love
too.
that transformation of Ben Mendelsohn with the green blood, like when he's transforming, and even that one shot of the random Skrull screaming looked better than any of the cheaper looking Captain Marvel ones. So this is already what the Skrulls I wanted to be in Captain Marvel represent. This is already more of the tone I wanted Marvel to go, and I think the dichotomy between cosmic and grounded Marvel is how you get audiences' trust back. I think they've been very cosmic for a very long time. Look at the last 4 Marvel films. It's been very like, we've talked about how Shang-Chi in the third act completely goes fantastical and how we enjoyed the first 2 acts more. I think every single Marvel thing has been this big, larger than life. Ironically, I think it's aliens on Earth that are going to ground us back into a gritty story that we want from Marvel. I think this is definitely a smart move.
I like the idea when they show like the Skrulls come in, how like fresh the world looks and how green it looks. And I think that's one of the main reasons is because not only are they using Sunday lawn care, they're also using athletic greens. Let me tell you about both right now. It's been cold here. It's been cold, but it's starting to get warm. It's right around the corner. And I like hanging out with my kids and my wife in the back and with the yard. And it's one of my favorite times in spring. And Sunday lawn care makes it so much easier. If you guys love spring, you got to figure out, how do I take care of my yard? Everybody's been at the store going, what do I do? How do I start? Sunday Lawn Care makes it easy. Sunday is everything that you need to get the lawn that you dreamed of. So if you go this spring, you go and head on over to getsunday.com/bigthing and you enter your address, you get a customized plan created just for your lawn. There's no trips to the store or hauling heavy bags since they ship straight to your home. You just need a hose to apply Sunday. That's all you need. You can fertilize your whole lawn in less time than it takes to watch an episode of your favorite TV show. Sunday is easy and affordable. Some lawn care services cost more than $1,500 a year, but Sunday's full season plan starts at just $109. Sunday is now offering our listeners 20% off. Full season plans at just $109, and you can get 20% off, but you got to use that code getsunday.com/bigthing at checkout. 20% off your custom plan at getsunday.com/bigthing. Don't be confused anymore. Don't stand at the counter and the shelves looking at everything. Just get Sunday. Getsunday.com/bigthing. Athletic Greens, baby. AG1. You guys know I talk about them all of the time. For me, it's the same stuff I've been telling you. I wanted better gut health. I wanted increased energy. I wanted immune system support. I wanted all of it. I'm not a big vitamins guy. I didn't like taking all those pills and stuff. I just wanted one. You take it. I put it in a water bottle. I shake it up in the morning, and I'm good to go. It's not very easy for me to keep up with that supplement routine that comes with a bunch of different products. It's like you got to do this, you got to do that. You just take everything in one shot. Helps me better with energy. It helps me better in general. I think it helped me to recover, to be honest with you. Why take a bunch of different things when you can just mix 1 scoop of powder and water once a day? It's that easy. I love it. It's just part of my daily habit now. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens AG1 is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. You got to go to athleticgreens.com/big-thing. That is athleticgreens.com/big-thing. Check it out. You guys know that I love it. You guys, I've seen so many people telling me that they've signed up and they're loving AG1. Continue to do so. Tell me after you sign up. Let me know. Use that code, athleticgreens.com/big-thing. All right. Once again, thank you to our friends over at both Sunday Lawn Care and Athletic Greens. Man, I'm telling you, we like, people always ask how you help the show out, how you can support the show. You can support yourself out, especially with it coming up to be spring now, and just put that thing on the hose, man. It works wonders. And I can tell you until I'm blue in the face about Athletic Greens. We've been using it forever. They've been a part of the show. They're going to be with us for a while. They're amazing. You support us. You help the show. So make sure you check it out. And they're both pinned to the top of the comment section. All right, let's move into, speaking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and one of the main reasons that show to me didn't work is a guy named Ike Perlmutter. And he's gone. And you guys talked about it last week, you and Mike, Winston. And so it's some more conversation that Perlmutter, he's talking out. He said, Disney fired me. We recently learned that controversial former chairman of Marvel Entertainment, Ike Perlmutter, has been released from his position at the company, and the exec now spoke. Perlmutter was recently removed from his position at the company. He clashed with the likes of Bob Iger and Kevin Feige. That's never going to help you out. And there's well documented, and in a rare interview with the Wall Street Journal, he explained why he was let go. He said, all they do is talk about box office, box office, box office. He says, I care about the bottom line. I don't care how big the box office is. Only people in Hollywood talk about box office. Perlmutter, who confirms he was fired and not simply laid off, is certain that his termination was based on fundamental differences in between my thinking about Disney leadership, because I care about return on investment. It's worth pointing out that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is without question the most profitable film franchise in history, even if they did have to spend a lot more money to achieve such massive success. Ike was reportedly unhappy about Disney's spat with DeSantis over Florida's parental rights in education, which prohibits classroom instruction regarding sexual or gender identity in Florida's public schools from kindergarten throughout 3rd grade. Perlmutter said he warned the higher-ups not to get involved in politics. You're going to get hurt. It's a no-win situation. How do you feel about Perlmutter being ousted? Drops as a comment. Now, here's the thing. I think Perlmutter is a moron. But I agree with him about getting too involved in politics sometimes when it depends on what it is. I'm not telling you that there is not stuff to fight for. There is. And there absolutely is things for her. And you should make a stance for what you believe in. You should go for it. But even last week on this show, Mike and Winston talked about the situation as it goes through, and things get political. And sometimes, and I talked to Mike about it too, Mike gets political. I've never liked politics on this show. I don't like politics on Big Thing. I didn't like it on SCN. I didn't like it on Schmoes. I feel for what we do, it's not relevant for certain conversations. And I'm not telling you people on Twitter. You go on Twitter, if you follow someone, I hate the stupid notion of, I don't follow you on Twitter for your politics. The Twitter is where you can do whatever you want to do. That's your personal thing. I just think that there's certain times where it's depending on how you get involved with things, you got to be careful with, depending on what audience you're trying to reach. If there's certain pockets that you're trying to reach, there are certain news outlets that go after one particular pocket. Most outlets go after a certain pocket. For this show, I feel like we're just talking about this stuff, the fun stuff within comic book movies and Star Wars and news, and that's the type of stuff. But I think that it's a slippery slope sometimes, depending on how you get involved, because not everybody has the same political views, if that makes sense.
I think it's especially hard because genre content, like comic books, are inherently political, and a lot of the worlds that they dive into are. But I like that we can have a show where if we dip into that, it isn't make or break, and it's also not the fundamental of it. Like, I think it's important for people to have a place to go where it can be discussed on Twitter, but this isn't Twitter. It can be discussed on another show, but it's I agree. I think it's important to also have a free space, so to speak, to escape some of that, even if it is part of the content we're discussing.
No, I agree. I think there are sometimes you maybe have to dab into it just a baby bit if it ends up getting drawn into it. So, like, for example, we weren't doing the show yet when Ray Fisher was doing all that, but like that was directly tied to
that's a very different situation. Correct.
So it's kind of the same thing a little bit with Victoria Alonso, because that was where the conversation kind of dipped from, was because she was an executive producer of the MCU. But I agree, you touch on it as much as you have to, and then you step out, and then if you want to get more into that, which is funny whenever people are like, I don't follow you on Twitter for your political ideas. If you follow me for the that I talk about.
That's exactly right. So that's why I never go with it. But I think when it comes to, like you're saying, Winston, there's stories that when you're reporting the news story itself and you're talking, there's a difference between talking about the story that is inherently political, right? Because there's just things that are going to come up with it, as opposed to making it seem like no matter what you feel, even if in your heart of hearts you feel that your position is the right position, not everyone who's watching this show feels the same way that you do. And it's like, and on Twitter, go ahead. That's your platform. That's your thing. But here it's like, we're going to report it. We're going to talk about, give your overall thoughts. Like I said, I think that there's some things that Disney should be putting their foot down and making, believe in what they believe in and do what they want to do. But I think that as much as I think that everything else he's saying is like, who no one thinks about box office. It's a business, dum-dum. Everyone, you have to think about box office.
Thinking about box office.
But I understand where he's kind of saying where, so you got to be careful when you go, because it's similar to what we're talking about. You have to be careful with how political you get, because you're going to piss off somebody. And good on them for taking a stance and they do what they wanted to do. But he's not wrong where it's going. It's going to hurt your box office. But if they say, look, this is what we believe in, this is what we want to do, we're putting our foot down, then good on them. Then that's the stance that they want to take as a company. And but you also have to realize that there is it's like it's like when Michael Jordan said, about with sneakers. It's like he doesn't talk politics. Republicans buy sneakers too, and it's like it's slippery, because I have a very different philosophy from a lot of people in our space, because people feel like a lot of times like everything needs to be political. Here's my stance. Here's what I have to do. This is what I feel, and good on you. But like it's just not my thing.
I love that quote from Jordan, and Air is incredible. You finally saw it, right?
Loved
Dude,
it. Favorite
like,
movie of the year.
Same. And by like a good margin.
Yeah.
But I think the line in the sand in like the DeSantis quote and stuff is like, when people's safety is involved, that's when I think that it's great that companies can take a step forward. But I think short of that, it's really tricky for the macro, because I do think we live in a world where it's become more of the conversation than ever. And I do think that's like hard. But if someone's safety, especially children's safety, is involved, then like I that makes me proud versus exhausted.
I agree with you. I agree with that. And I understand what you're saying for sure. And I think that's what I mean when it comes to the slippery slope. Because if you believe, like, there's that one part of it where it's easy to say, don't get involved in politics, don't get involved in this. But if you truly believe in something and you want to put your foot down and you want to really make a stance, then you should. And again, and if that's the case, good in them for whether you believe in what they were doing or not. They made a stance. But you also have to understand that because of the way that the world is in general, especially today with how divided this country in particular is that you're going to piss people off, and look at that freaking fascist comment for the Batman thing and how silly that was. And people made that
a perfect example of making that like a joke into the politics of DC.
That's what I mean. Like when it comes to
I couldn't believe that was trending.
Yeah, but when you have like a serious topic, of what's going on with like Disney and what they're doing, and then you're going to see just both sides just clash, because there's going to be people who don't think that they should get involved. There's other people like all that. But then you get people making stuff up, like going, "Oh yeah, Warner Brothers hates Batman. They said Batman's a fascist." It's like, you're just looking for anything to make a video on.
I mean, we brought him up earlier today in the show, but like one thing that really bothered me was I don't agree with all of Zach Levi's beliefs, but people editing his videos to make it sound like he's saying stuff that he didn't by like omitting sections or literally like deep faking audio. That's gross. Like you're literally antagonizing because of his other.
I know. I saw the original video. It did say I would like Coy to host the.
And I was like, guy, what happened? How did we deep fake this? And then he got there and it was. But no, I think that's really messy because you attach to one thing and then it becomes like that person becomes the. Look at the Chris Pratt stuff. Like it's really it's messy.
Well, that's what.
And he was great as Mario. I was surprised.
But this is what I'm saying though too. It's like there's certain people who have particular political views on both sides, and you're just like, oh man, that's exhausting. Or that's really extreme right. That's extreme left. That's crazy. That's crazy. Then there's other people who just don't have the same beliefs as you do, and it's the old school. Whether it's a conservative side, if it's somebody who leans a little bit left, and you're like, well, they're on the Yankees. I'm on the Red Sox. So I hate everything they say. Oh wait, you don't think this? Well, then you're out. And like just like. You don't even know if the person's a good person or not. You don't know. It's like just because they don't line up with your political views, and then they go after them. And it happened on Twitter all the damn time.
I mean, that is Twitter now. I posted a pic with Zach from the con, and people were mad at me. I took a photo with him, and I was like, "What?"
It's so stupid. It's like because you're not on an opposite team. You just don't. Like you said as you started this, you don't believe with a lot of his takes. You don't know the guy like all the way through. Maybe you do. Maybe you get along with the guy. Maybe you don't. But it's like what are you talking about? This is not someone who kidnapped children. This is not somebody who did all these different things. It's not Jared from Subway. You know, like the reason I say that, by the way, is because before that disgusting pig went down, he was at some premiere, and I took a picture with him. And it was on, it was on, and this is way before.
With who?
With Jared from Subway. And this is before like the whole thing went down. And then that report went, the first thing I did, ran to Instagram, delete. First thing. Now that's a different situation, right? You know what I mean? Like all together. But it's just like, yeah, people just want it is, man. We live in a gotcha. We live in a gotcha situation now. And I think and it's generational, to be completely honest with you.
I think it's only going to get worse, which scares me because like people, you know, and I've gotten better about reading or commenting in this page, but it's really hard to feel like you can talk about anything anywhere. And I think that it's important for people to feel like they can at least talk about, even if it's politically charged fiction. I do think it's important that people feel like they can talk about fiction they enjoy. Yeah,
you should be able to have a conversation about it. Like even in a conversation like what we're having right now. Like we all have our particular views about everything inside, but we're not diving deep into that. And we're not telling people out there that if you have certain views, you know, we might disagree with it. We might not. I don't know, but I don't want to get into that here. I just wanted the idea of what Perlmutter in general was saying is that he was canned because the way that I read this is that he's deeply out of touch. And when the main thing, is really that whole box office thing. It's like if you're not paying attention to box office, I know what he's trying to say there. What he's trying to do is direct. Like I'm worried more so about the quality of all of it and making sure this. It's like no, you don't. You wanted to get rid of all the composers, and you didn't want to pay the composers because the famous Ike Perlmutter thing was that you'd have someone like Alan Silvestri come up with this wonderful theme, and then you'd have to pay him more in movie 2, so he would get rid of them and just use a portion of it in the second movie. And Feige's like, what are we doing? And then they finally stopped once he was off the film side, that you realize they did more of the themes. And then Silvestri came back and did Infinity War and did Endgame. So he was trying to cut costs, sure. But like he don't let's not talk about how you were trying to like save the quality of it there.
We can't have women as villains because they don't sell toys. Iron Man 3 should have a fire-breathing Guy Pearce. Like,
is that what? Was that his thing?
Because it was supposed to be. I think her name's Rebecca Ferguson, the female lead. She was supposed to be the villain of Iron Man 3, and all of the details setting that up, like that I think Iron Man 3 is one of the more underappreciated films up until the third act, and the third act was like going like, no, we need to sell toys, fire-breathing Guy Pearce, and it negates so much of the impact of that film.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, that was a big conversation overall. But I think that the last thing to kind of lighten it up as we leave is that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is right around the corner. And Empire They have a cover of the magazine and assembles a team for one last ride. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 director James Gunn has taken to Twitter to share a first look at Empire's latest cover, which spotlights Star-Lord, Gamora, Groot, Drax, Rocket, Nebula, and Mantis. Tickets for Guardians went on sale this week, and marketing for the third installment in the fan-favorite MCU franchise has kicked up a few notches ahead of the movie's theatrical debut early next month. On the heels of a bunch of posters, TV spots, James Gunn has shared Empire Magazine's latest cover, which gives us a new look at the core team. And Empire usually debuts at least 2 covers when it's promoting a big comic book movie film. So keep an eye out for a subscriber-only version, which should be on the shelves pretty soon. So the look of the, I don't know if you guys saw the look of it, but it's, I mean, you know, it looks classic Guardians, and I think people are going to be excited. I think this movie is going to do very, very well, and it's going to be the first. It's not. People are going to see the success of this movie, and I don't think it's fair to say yet, oh well, Marvel's back, MCU's back, because it's closing out a franchise, and I don't know how much it's going to be connected to the overall story that's moving forward. Corey, you think I'm right, wrong?
I think it's going to be this and the Flash are going to be safe as far as impact, and then the real test is going to be Blue Beetle and the Marvels, which are August and November respectively. Right. I think the Marvels is the next continuation of even maybe beyond Secret Invasion, because Secret Invasion is June, but I feel like even Secret Invasion is tied to a lot of IP that is like Nick Fury is very visibly bankable. Amon Vellani and Brie Larson. Brie Larson hasn't been in stuff in a little bit, and a lot of people have strong feelings about Brie Larson. Mm-hmm. I feel like Secret Invasion is a little bit more dependable as far as like an espionage thriller for adults might be an easier sell to some people than a team up, the Marvels. The amount of crap, like I reported that Kevin Feige said he got the same feeling when the Marvels all united the 3 of them as he did for the Avengers. And the amount of people that got mad at me for acknowledging 3 women teaming up is a good thing. And I was like, I'm literally reading a quote. And also, like, why do you hate women so much? So, like, it's just those things I think are going to be really aggressively not in its favor, because a lot of people seem to just hate women for existing. So I think that the Marvels is the test of what the new Phase 5 impact is going to be.
Yeah, I agree. It needs, and I think similar to Winston, what we were talking about before with how Shazam delivered in 2019, because it was coming off of whether it was Wonder Woman, and you know, I think Wonder Woman was 2017, but still, it was starting to hit. I mean, Aquaman hit $1 billion in these movies, and they were also in the midst of, like, the comic book movie was in its prime at that point. Same could be said for Ms. Marvel, or Captain Marvel rather, because Captain Marvel was the first movie right after Infinity War, so it got everybody wanting to see it, like $1 billion. I think this movie is going to be significantly better than the first one. I don't think it's anywhere near $1 billion.
No. I think Captain Marvel, the OG Captain Marvel, considering how much people have like panned it over time, you had a perfect storm of things right after Infinity War. So, like, what did that post-credit scene really mean? How is that kind of tying in? You had the fact that Wonder Woman did what Wonder Woman did. So you had a bunch of women that saw another major, powerful female superhero getting her own solo film. All that. You have, like, just the simple fact in general, we had been thirsting to see more Nick Fury, and we're essentially getting him in a buddy cop situation.
Right.
And remember, that was, if I'm not mistaken, was that not Stan Lee's last cameo? Was
Marvel? It was. Yeah, it was.
Got together, it was a perfect storm for, of course, it was going to make $1 billion, because people were also trying to be like, what can I figure out about Endgame before it gets to that point with all of that collectively? I don't think that is happening here. I do think it will significantly outpace Ant-Man, and I think it will probably out the same as Multiverse of Madness, which I think still hit like 800.
Yeah, I think it's gonna do well. And I think it was a very smart move to move it to November. I think it was a very smart move.
I think we get $1 billion for Guardians. I think we hit $1 billion for Flash. I think 6 to 8 for both the Marvels and there's one more after the Marvels early next year, and the Aquaman. There we go. Yeah, I think Blue Beetle hits like 4 to 6. I think Blue Beetle hits around that $500 million.
It will depend.
It's newer.
It will depend. There is a possibility, because I'm thinking about Black Panther here. There is a possibility that Blue Beetle potentially hits $1 billion, It's a long shot. It's a long shot, but because you are bringing in the first live action major Latino superhero, because you obviously had Miles already in Spider-Verse, but because of that, and if the movie is good, okay.
I keep reading it and I keep thinking about Zorro, and I feel like I'm just.
That's fair. I just never thought of him as a superhero. I put him in like the same. I put him in the same vein as like
Vigilante?
Robin Hood, like a
Yeah.
vigilante.
Okay,
like,
I
you know what I
got you.
mean?
Since he inspired Batman, I'm
respect
always
that.
like, but Zorro though.
But
He's
that.
he's the first traditional kind of by definition superhero.
So
But
if you put all those together, I think there is a possibility. It's a long shot, but I think there's a possibility that it could do it.
as much as I'd love to see it, there's no chance. No, there's no chance.
I'm not making any more bets with you because
I know. I would love to see it, and that's one that if I want to be wrong about something, it's that. I want not only the fact that I root for Xolo, but I actually think the movie looks good, and I think it is an important film in general. I think the difference between, say, with Black Panther and this movie is Black Panther came out, I think, in like May, or
February.
It was a February. You're right, February.
Yeah,
right.
It changed February.
First of all, February, Black History Month. That's part one. Part two is it was connected again in that Infinity War Endgame stuff leading into Infinity War. It was the first movie before Infinity War. It was a super important movie overall. It was coming off the success of Marvel. Two very different situations in general, and a more known character. And also with the inclusion of Black Panther inside of Civil War, also big boost, very similar to like, when you're promoting wrestling and you bring in somebody on one of the episodes of Monday Night Raw, and then you're going to have them on pay-per-view. That pay-per-view spikes up once that, that person comes in. So I understand the comparison. I just think that two very different situations. And because it's in August, I'm hoping that the movie, because depending on the budget, I hope it makes, about 400, 500 million.
I'm saying 4 to 6 because of some of the things Winston said, because I think Shazam hit like 2. So I'm going to go, 4 to 6 with the flash boost, with everything else shifting, and with Xolo being such a good star.
But Shazam, though, Fury of the Gods had a significantly bigger budget.
Oh, 100%. I think it's probably double.
Which was a bad move.
Because Shazam was 125 budget. I would say that Blue Beetle's probably like 80. So not quite double, but I'd say it's around 80.
Actually, I'll tell you what. Shazam Fury of the Gods, the budget 125.
It's only 25 more than the first one.
Yeah, that's
it. They flexed it. Sandberg did a good job on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing working in their favor to maybe pull it off, I don't think there are really any other major releases.
120. 120 is the estimated budget for Blue Beetle.
So they're neck and neck in budget.
That's tough. It's tough.
But I still think it's going to hit 4 to 6. I hope.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
I guess the only thing that might give it legs, because some of the other stuff, the stuff before it is what, the Meg 2.
Yeah, it's the only game in it's the only game in town, I think,
for weeks. Because then my Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, the early September, Equalizer 3, early September, Expendables 4. You don't really hit anything. It feels like until Kraven the Hunter potentially in October.
Yeah, but that's not right. So let's see. Just to give, and Winston's 100% right. Let's just look at the only thing. You look at July. It had the Marvels that it was going to be.
Yeah, and that moved to November, so it opened up.
You're gonna have Haunted House will be out there at one point. A Haunted House
or Haunted Mansion.
Sorry, Haunted Mansion, but still that'll be 3 weeks into it by the time this comes out. Yeah, the Meg 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That might do something, but not.
But still, that comes out August 4th. It'll be tapering out by the time you get to August 18th, which is Blue Beetle. Then you have nothing the following week. Equalizer 3, Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. Who wants that movie? And then let's see, Expendables 4, Paw
Different
Patrol.
Audiences.
I mean, August. If it's a good movie, it could
run all of September. If
it's good. If it's
and
a
going
good
back
movie,
into school, word of mouth, kids talking about it at school could get third viewings.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'm thinking about, I know that we get a massive. And again, I'm just thinking in terms of like the demographic of the main characters that are being represented here. If it's a good movie, what's to say that it doesn't then hit South America and just blows up?
Sure.
You know,
sure. And it's like that's the magic trick, though, right? It's got to be. That's the other two things about both Shazam and Black Adam. Black Adam, as much as I've enjoyed both of the movies, Black Adam is about as generic of a superhero movie as you're gonna get, and Shazam was fine. It's good. And our biggest problem, for Winston and I, was the fact that the star of the film was acting like he was 11 years old when the 16-year-old counterpart.
What do you guys think Spider-Verse does? I'm thinking like
700 overall. What did the first one do?
I think 5.
Did it get to 5? I thought that was the whole problem. Is it only hit like 4? It may have tapered by the end because they did a re-release.
Maybe 450, but I think
Into the Spider-Verse made 375.
That's what I thought. I didn't think it got even
way
close.
off.
I didn't even think it got close, and that was what was wild is that it won an Oscar, but it didn't put up gangbusters.
I'm gonna change mine to 6.
Again, remember, let's check the budget on this thing. But but it made almost 200 million domestic, and let's see what the budget is. Budget. It only costs 90 million to make. So 90 million to make, and it makes almost 400 overall. That's
with marketing at most 180 because that wasn't crazy. So
made almost $200 million overall. That's a big hit.
So I'm gonna say 5 to 6 instead for Spider-Verse, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hype is definitely and look, it's also gathered an audience through it was on Netflix for a while. It was on so it's I think 5. I think 6 is not crazy, but I think 5 is probably realistic. I think I think out of all the movies this year, I think that the biggest success is going to be The Flash. I think The Flash is going to be the biggest one out of all the comic book movies because it's the return of Michael Keaton as Batman. We've been waiting for it forever. And then coupled with what we were just talking about, what we hope Blue Beetle does is already happening with The Flash. And people are saying this movie's awesome.
I think Guardians will be right there at its heels.
Guardians, yeah.
I think Guardians might hit like 1.3, and that Flash might hit 1.3.5.
Yeah.
Like I think it'll be close, if not Guardians.
That's not a bet I would take because I think that it's not because I could clearly see if you told me that Guardians. The only reason that I think that Guardian comes out in the beginning of May.
Mm-hmm.
Some kids are still in school. July is right in the middle, or
I
June,
think people want
June.
to love Marvel again, and that's going to help it.
And I think that and people are like, oh, the Ezra thing, Ezra's and it's not going to have anything to do with casual fans. Michael Keaton back as Batman is the big selling point. Plus the fact he's got so much to do inside of it. So I think, I think that movie it's got a shot.
We're going to be busy May, July.
We really are for sure, and we'll be doing. Speaking of which, right after that movie comes out, we are going to be in New York, everybody. It's going to be that movie's going to come out that we would already have. I think it comes out that weekend, or is it the following or the previous? I think it's the previous. But either way, that's probably what we're going to be talking about on stage. Winston, myself, and Coy, and you guys got to come see us. You got to go to thekristianharloff.com and get your tickets. And if you're able to, do both, man. Come and see us with Double Toasted in Connecticut the next night, June 24th, and then this is coming up this month. April 28th. If you're anywhere near the Los Angeles area and you can be there in Burbank, man, come on out. Friday, 28th. If Winston's able to, he's going to be doing stand-up. Coy's going to be doing stand-up. Coy's going to be hosting the show.
Down, bitch.
Or you can be sit down comedy. Perfect. Kate Mulligan
I'll wheel him out as the host.
Yeah. Coy's going to be hosting the show. Winston's going to be doing stand-up. I'll be doing stand-up. Kate's doing stand-up. And Brett Sheridan obviously doing stand-up. And then we'll be doing a mixture of the podcast and all the shows that you see here on the network. So make sure you come and check us out. Again, that's thekristianharloff.com. All right, guys, let's start with you, Winston. I know right now they could be seeing you from your computer as you're not going anywhere, but where else can they find you?
Yeah, for the time being, man, I'm going to be putting some more TikToks and stuff out there soon. But you can definitely go and find me on Twitch. I'm going to be streaming probably every day, something like that. It's going to really depend on my leg. And so we're filming this on a Thursday for Friday, so that doesn't matter what I'm saying right now. Okay, yeah, just come find me on Twitch. I'll tweet about it when I'm about to go live, and come hang, ask questions, shoot the shit. Sorry. And then, yeah, there you go.
You're the worst. You are the absolute worst.
Just as a wrap out, I'm Coy Jandreau. You can find me at COYJANDREAU for audio listeners. On YouTube, I just put up my Super Mario Out of the Theater reaction. I'm going to be doing some stuff this weekend. I also just had all that stuff at MegaCon. I'm going to try to find clips and share those to Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. And you can find me at the Flappers Comedy Club at the end of the month because I'm very excited for that. I can't wait to meet you folks in person. I met a ton of Big Thing fans at MegaCon. A lot of people talked about following me since they met me through Kristian or following me from this and that. But if you want to see us together, come to Flappers. It's going to be great.
Make sure you do it. Check us out. We're going to be there, and we're excited for you guys to be there as well. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit that button. Get us to 100,000. We're going to get there by the end of the month. Spotify, we're on Spotify, so check us out. Apple Podcasts, anywhere. And by the way, if you haven't gone to the website and you can get all these different tiers, man, you can join up. We're shifting away from Patreon and we're going straight to the website, and we're just directly connecting with you guys. So make sure you head on over there and do it. All right, for myself and Winston and Coy, we'll see you on the flip side, everybody. Peace.